and welcome to another episode of InfoScope. I'm your host, Hannah Kim. It's once again time for the latest from the IT and science world. Let's start by taking a look at some of today's headlines. First up, in the 1970s, a golden statue of the seated Buddha from the Silla dynasty was excavated in Gyeongju, which is in the Gyeongsang-Pukdo province. The gilding technique applied to the statue 1,400 years ago was successfully recreated today. We'll have more on this in just a moment. And turning our attention to alternative energy sources, researchers from all over the world are coming up with new and different methods of alternative energy. In fact, over in the United Kingdom, a company is setting up a power plant that uses giant kites to generate power. Let's take a closer look at these stories in our first segment, Briefing Scope. This is a power plant that uses kites to generate power. A 70 square meter kite tied to a generator flies up to the sky, pulling a rope that turns into a turbine. The company behind the plant development states that with 30 kites in the sky, the plant can generate enough power for 75,000 households. Korean researchers have successfully recreated a traditional gilding technique from the Silla dynasty about 1,400 years ago. Statues of the Buddha from then were mostly made of bronze and then coated with gold. Researchers have recreated the technique and restored a statue of the Buddha. This technique will be used to restore other cultural artifacts in the near future. Korean researchers have found a way to use living cells to diagnose cardiovascular diseases. According to the researchers, the method involves using immunocytes where there's an inflammation instead of analyzing blood samples. This can help boost the effectiveness of treatments. Kimcheon, Gyeongsang-Pukdo province recently hosted the third National Infinite Idea and Scientific Exploration Contest for students. The grand prize went to the team that suggested the idea of an automatic seesaw for people of different weights. The event also featured an exhibition of outstanding scientific ideas and robotic performances. Congratulations to all the teams who participated in that competition. It would be great to have more events like this that encourage young students to use their imagination and express their ideas. Now, turning to our next story, have you ever wondered what happens to space debris? For example, outdated satellites or rocket parts that have fallen off. Well, recently, the risk of space debris making physical contact with currently active space objects has grown, almost like a space accident or collision. And the world is working hard to come up with a solution to this problem. We'll have more details for you shortly. But first, let's talk about some rescue technology. When there's an earthquake, a natural disaster, or a big accident, there's always the danger of people getting trapped inside collapsed buildings or tunnels. Engineers are now trying to develop drones and digging techniques to help rescue people promptly. This next video will give you more details on this technology. Here's Industry Inside.
In April of this year, earthquakes hit the Kumamoto prefecture in Japan. Just one day later, Ecuador was hit with a strong quake. When buildings and tunnels collapse, it's very likely that people become trapped inside. Now, a new technology can help rescuers find survivors within the golden time of 72 hours. First, a drone is launched next to the collapsed building within 12 hours. This drone detects signals sent by smartphones some 10 meters below ground level and uses those signals to mark locations of survivors. At the same time, the drone takes three-dimensional shots of the site, which are used to plan rescue efforts.
스마트폰에서 송출되고 있는 와이파이 신호를 드론에서 감지하여 그 좌표값을 알려주게 됩니다.
Once the locations are mapped, rescuers can drill a hole from an adjacent building and extend a lifeline for water and air. Following that, a wider lifeline of about 1 meter in diameter is drilled in order to rescue the survivors.
소방대원들이 실제로 구조 활동을 위해서 최소로 확보돼야 하는 공간이 900mm 정도 됩니다. 약간의 여유폭을 두어서 직경 1000mm의 2차 생명선을 설치하도록 하였습니다.
Drones, sensors, and digging are involved. These are all currently existing technologies, making this method viable for immediate use.
긴급 구호포를 넣는 1차 생명선은 70시간 내에 설치하는 것이 목표고요. 인명 고용 진입로 확보는 7일 이내에 하는 것이 목표입니다.
Currently, only 30% of all buildings and 50% of rails, tunnels, and other public infrastructures have been built to withstand earthquakes. Since early prediction of earthquakes is virtually impossible, it's important to possess emergency rescue techniques that can minimize casualties. In August, a piece of space debris hit a satellite operated by the European Space Agency. While the debris was extremely small, measuring only a few millimeters, it was traveling at 8 kilometers per second. At that speed, even a 1 centimeter piece would have rendered the satellite useless. Current estimates suggest that more than 20,000 pieces of debris are greater than 10 centimeters. Anything smaller is deemed too many to count. To deal with this issue, the United States Air Force has been operating the Space Surveillance Telescope to track the movements of space debris. It's to figure out their trajectories and prevent collisions with satellites. There is also technology in the works to clean up space debris. The European Space Agency is working on satellites that can use robotic arms to physically attach to pieces, as well as satellites that catch debris with a net. Korea is also working on a small-scale debris cleanup satellite that can sense debris and grab onto them.
가장 위험한 우주 쓰레기들 그런 것들을 우선순위를 정해가지고 1년에 최소 5개 이상씩을 없애야 장기적으로 우주 쓰레기가 증가하는 걸 갖다가 이제 완화시킬 수 있다라고 하는 어떤 관점에서 관련되는 기술들이 지금 개발되어지고 있고요.
Space powers are also looking into restricting launches if there are no provisions for tackling space debris. About 14,000 tons of food waste are tossed away daily in all of Korea. Processing food waste is particularly pricey in Korea due to high quantities of salt and moisture in Korean cuisine. One solution is to use food waste to generate biogas. However, Korea's purifying technology is not efficient enough, and foreign technologies are costly. Korean researchers have come up with a new biogas membrane that can overcome these limitations. The researchers used a membrane made of a more widely available polymer material, reducing production costs by 1/3. To make up for any shortcomings of the cheaper material, another layer of membrane was added. With this new process, methane with a purity of 98% can be extracted from the biogas. This exceeds the 97% purity required of utility gas and can also be used to fuel cars. Furthermore, pure carbon dioxide created through the use of methane gas can be harnessed to make methanol or other chemical products.
막걸리 전체 공정의 효율이 높아지고 소재 가격의 하락에 힘입어서 전체 가격의 반 이하로 플랜트 가격을 낮출 수 있는 그런 특징이 있어서 향후에 해외 수출이나 국내 수입 대체를 하는 과정에서 중요한 역할을 할 수 있을 거라고 생각하고 있습니다.
The global biogas market is worth $119 billion. As interest in renewable energy grows, Korean membrane technologies can boost Korea's competitiveness in the global market.
I feel like this new development will take Korea a step closer to becoming a leading nation in the field of renewable energy. Now, moving on to the next part of our show, ALD is a disease that disrupts the breakdown of certain fats, leading to a buildup of very long-chain fatty acids in the nervous system and other parts of the body. I'm mentioning this because it seems like Korean researchers have made progress on figuring out how ALD develops and what may be the next step for treatment. And for other news in medicine, sepsis is a life-threatening condition which has a mortality rate of up to 70%, making timely diagnosis even more crucial. Fortunately, Korean researchers have developed a technology that will make a diagnosis possible within 1 to 2 hours. Here are some more details on this in our next segment, Take a Peek.
Sepsis is a condition of severe inflammations all over the body, triggered by germs, fungi, viruses, or other external sources. It has a mortality rate of 30 to 70%, making early diagnosis crucial. However, current tests for sepsis take anywhere between 24 to 72 hours. Now, Korean researchers have developed a test that can confirm sepsis within 1 or 2 hours. The test uses an enzyme called WRS, which is secreted by white blood cells to activate innate immunity against foreign invaders.
백혈구가 감염원과 만나게 되면요, WRS라는 효소가 분비가 되는데 이 효소가 다른 면역세포들을 활성화시킴으로써 감염원을 제거한다는 것을 규명한 것입니다.
The researchers found that the levels of WRS in sepsis patients are 20 times that of a healthy person because the white blood cells recognize the pathogens and secretes WRS to tackle them. The detection of WRS can confirm whether a patient has sepsis, and this takes roughly 1 to 2 hours. The researchers also inserted WRS into mice infected with salmonella and observed that the pathogen was killed, confirming the enzyme's ability to trigger innate immunity.
네, 난치성 감염 질환의 치료제와 진단시약을 개발해 응용할 수 있을 것으로 기대됩니다.
The research and its results were published in the scientific journal Nature Microbiology. This is 5-year-old Lorenzo, as portrayed in the movie Lorenzo's Oil. Lorenzo cannot swallow or walk and relies on a respirator. His parents seek a treatment and find a specific type of oil that alleviates Lorenzo's disorder. The disorder Lorenzo had was adrenoleukodystrophy, more commonly known as ALD. ALD arises when very long-chain fatty acids build up in cells, creating infections in the brain and leading to a coma or death. There are no effective treatments. The only medication available is the oil mentioned in the movie to help slow down the progress of the disease. Now, Korean researchers have used induced stem cells to uncover the cause of the brain infections triggered by the disease.
부신백질 이형량증 환자로부터 유도만능줄기세포를 만들었고 그 유도만능줄기세포 속에 정상세포와 비교했을 때 25Hc라는 물질이 많이 쌓여서 그게 질병의 뇌염증 원인으로 작용한다는 것을 우리가 밝혔습니다.
Now that a substance has been identified, it is possible to create a treatment targeting it. Furthermore, the research also found a substance that can reduce the buildup of very long-chain fatty acids. The research and its results were published in the academic journal Nature Communications. Lung cancer is responsible for the most cancer-related deaths in Korea and claims 1 million lives worldwide. The high mortality rate is due to a lack of recognizable symptoms, meaning that lung cancer is often discovered after it has spread to other organs. Subsequently, chances of a full recovery stand at less than 30%, but if lung cancer is diagnosed early on, this figure goes up to 80%. However, current diagnostic tests are not very accurate, making early detection difficult.
현재 지금 바이오마커로서 이제 사용되어지는 이제 폐암 바이오마커로 사용되는 단백질이 몇 종류가 있는데 그 단백질 자체들이 모든 폐암을 정확하게 진단을 하는데 어려움이 있습니다.
Now, Korean researchers have found that almost all lung cancer patients have a protein called USE1, suggesting the possibility of a highly accurate early diagnostic test.
106명의 폐암 환자에서 폐암 조직과 그 옆에 있는 정상 조직을 단백질의 발현량을 확인한 결과 저희가 봤을 때 92.5% 정도의 폐암 환자에서 폐암 조직에서 이 USE1이라는 단백질이 발현량이 올라가 있는 것을 저희가 확인을 했습니다.
The researchers now plan to develop a diagnostic test that looks for the USE1 protein. Furthermore, the researchers found, through the use of lab mice models, that reducing the amount of USE1 resulted in a reduction of lung cancer cells, suggesting the possibility of medications that target USE1. The research and its results were published in the academic journal Journal of the National Cancer Institute.
Just to recap one of the notes in that last video, again, it is hard to recognize lung cancer, and it is often discovered after the cancer has spread. So this highlights the need for an accurate early diagnosis system, and it seems like this research with the USEI protein is leading us in the right direction. But that last story wraps up today's episode of InfoScope. We will be sure to bring you more interesting and informative news next time. Have a wonderful day and goodbye.